The Galactic Military Academy's advanced combat training facility hummed with the quiet efficiency of alien technology. In the observation deck, overlooking Training Bay 7, Instructor Vextai of the Crorian Defense Corps adjusted his forearms nervously as he reviewed the day's exercise parameters. "Are you certain about these settings?" he asked his assistant, a young Sekthari whose compound eyes reflected the holographic displays. "The neural disruptor is calibrated for standard galactic physiology. A direct hit should incapacitate any sentient being for at least 6 standard hours." Training specialist Clithara's mandibles clicked in what passed for concern among her species. "The settings are within Academy safety protocols, sir. However, I should note that we have limited data on human physiological responses to our training weapons." Through the reinforced viewing portal, they could see the current exercise in progress. 12 cadets from various species moved through a complex urban warfare simulation, their movements tracked by sophisticated sensors. 11 of them were performing as expected, taking cover, communicating efficiently, advancing with textbook precision. The 12th was a problem. Cadet Maria Santos moved through the simulation with a fluid grace that seemed almost casual compared to her classmates' careful tactical advances. Where other species crouched behind barriers and checked corners methodically, the human simply walked forward as if she were taking a leisurely stroll through a park. "She's going to get herself killed," muttered Cadet Thexmore, a young Titan whose rocky exterior provided natural armor. His species had dominated galactic military academies for centuries, their stone-like physiology making them nearly indestructible in combat scenarios. "Deathworlders," scoffed Cadet Zithrak, his crystalline form refracting the simulation's artificial sunlight. "They think their primitive aggression makes up for tactical incompetence." The term had become common throughout the Academy since humanity's admission 18 months earlier. Earth was classified as a Class XII death world, a planet so hostile that its evolution had produced organisms capable of surviving conditions that would be considered extreme hazards on most civilized worlds. The fact that humans had not only survived, but thrived on such a world was viewed with a mixture of fascination and disgust by their alien classmates. Maria seemed oblivious to the commentary from her fellow cadets. She had grown up in the ruins of São Paulo, one of the cities devastated during the Zephyrian attack 2 years earlier. The Academy's urban warfare simulation, designed to challenge the galaxy's finest military prospects, reminded her of playing hide-and-seek in her grandmother's bombed-out apartment building. The first shot came from an elevated position, a perfectly placed neural disruptor blast that should have dropped her instantly. The bolt of energy struck Maria's center mass, and she paused. For exactly 3 seconds, she stood perfectly still, as if processing some minor inconvenience. Then she resumed walking. "Malfunction?" Instructor Vextai asked, his voice carrying the harmonic undertones of confusion. "Negative," Clithar replied, her sensors whirring frantically. "Direct hit, full power. The disruptor is functioning within normal parameters." The second shot came from a different angle, this time targeting Maria's head. The energy bolt struck her temple, causing her to stumble slightly. She reached up, touched the impact point with her fingertips, and looked mildly annoyed. "That one actually stung," she muttered in heavily accented Standard Galactic, her voice carrying clearly through the facility's audio monitors. The third shot was point-blank range. Cadet Vormesh, a flux warrior whose adaptive biology allowed him to survive in nearly any environment, had positioned himself perfectly for an ambush. His neural disruptor was pressed against Maria's back when he fired. The energy discharge lit up the entire simulation bay. Emergency systems activated, warning lights flashed, and several observers instinctively shielded their optical sensors from the brilliant explosion of neural scrambling energy. When the light faded, Vormesh lay unconscious on the simulated street, his containment suit smoking from system overload. Maria stood over him, completely unaffected, brushing imaginary dust from her training uniform. "Okay," she said, her voice now carrying a different tone entirely. That was actually pretty rude. What happened next would be discussed in xenobiology classes for decades to come. Maria walked directly to the facility's main entrance, a reinforced portal designed to withstand direct hits from military-grade plasma weapons. The door was locked, its security systems engaged for the duration of the training exercise. Standard protocol required cadets to complete the simulation objectives to earn egress. Maria studied the door for approximately 4 seconds. Then she grabbed the emergency release handle, a mechanism designed to be operated by 4 armed Crorian strength, and pulled. The handle, along with roughly 3 meters of reinforced bulkhead, came away in her hands. Did she just? Instructor Vextai's harmonic frequency climbed to levels that indicated severe psychological distress. "Tear the door off," Clythara confirmed, her sensors recalibrating frantically as they tried to process the impossible readings. She literally tore the door off the training facility. Maria stepped through the Maria-sized hole she had created, still carrying the twisted metal debris. She looked up at the observation deck and waved cheerfully. "Sorry about the door," she called out. "I'll file a damage report with facilities management." The silence in the observation deck stretched like a physical presence. 12 different species, representing some of the galaxy's most advanced military traditions, struggled to process what they had witnessed. "Sir," Clythara finally managed, "I'm reading her physiological data from the biometric sensors. Her adrenaline levels are elevated, but only marginally. Her heart rate is actually lower than baseline, and her neural activity." She paused, double-checking her readings. "Her neural activity shows patterns consistent with mild amusement." Instructor Vextai reviewed the tactical recordings with growing disbelief. 3 direct hits with neural disruptors, weapons designed to incapacitate any known form of galactic life, had affected the human roughly as much as a gentle tap on the shoulder. She had then casually demolished a barrier that required industrial equipment to modify. What exactly do humans consider a serious threat? He wondered aloud. Through the facility's communication system, Maria's voice provided an inadvertent answer as she spoke to her fellow cadets. "Nice try with the ambush, guys. But you should see what we use for training back on Earth. These neural disruptors feel like getting zapped by a joy buzzer." As the implications settled over the assembled instructors, a new understanding began to emerge. If this was what humans considered recreational discomfort, what would it take to actually challenge them? The question would keep xenobiologists awake for months to come, while military strategists across the galaxy quietly revised their threat assessments of humanity upward by several orders of magnitude. Cadet Maria Santos, meanwhile, was filling out a facility's damage form with the same methodical precision that characterized all human paperwork, apparently considering the complete demolition of a reinforced security door to be a minor administrative inconvenience